And then you were actually president of Bloomberg as well, right?
I was CEO of Bloomberg LP.
Yeah.
One day we sat in an open room in City Hall, and I pretty much sat behind him. And one day he just turned around and said, "You got a minute?" And I said, "Sure." So we went sort of into a corner, and he said, "How would you think about going over and running Bloomberg, the company?" And I said, "What are you talking about? I've never run a big company. I don't know anything about yours." I knew one person at the company. And he said, "No, I think you'd be really good." So I said the next day, "Let me think about it." The next day I went to him and said, "Okay, I'm prepared to do it. I won't get paid the same thing that I got paid in government, which was $1 a year." And I then started about 6 weeks later, just in time for the financial crisis. It also was a great experience. I led the company through the financial crisis. We almost doubled our revenues in 7 years organically. So that was a great experience too.
So in all that, if I force you to tell me the three things that you learned that were the most important.
Well, I think through all of those experiences, the first thing I learned was that to get stuff done, and this is particularly true in government, you need to operate on two speeds at the same time. You need to be patient because there's process for everything, but at the same time, you have to operate with a sense of urgency at all times. And it's that combination of those two speeds that enable you to get really complicated things done. In government, getting anything done is really difficult. I initiated in my time in government something like 289 separate initiatives, and we did all but a handful of them. So it required a real skill set of, as I said, operating on two speeds. A second thing I think, which is true for anything, is you got to learn to listen. And, for example, when I started at Bloomberg, I knew nothing about the company. I really didn't know anything about the product. I didn't know any of the people. For the first 3 months, I just listened. I think I met with 500 people over those 3 months, and you began to see patterns and come up with solutions. And this is a big company. I think at the time it had 12,000 people in 90 different countries. We were at that point still we were the dominant provider of financial news and data and systems to the securities industry. But we were starting to leak a little bit. That had been masked by the boom before the crash. And so I started there. I think a couple months later, the financial crisis started to unfold. But I had a pretty good sense by taking those 3 months to really listen. A third thing was you got to get rid of the dead wood. I met with somebody because I'd never been a CEO of a big company before. And he gave me the advice. This guy actually who is the CEO of Uber today. And he said, "You really got to show people that you're going to be decisive. And one great way to do that is get rid of the deadwood. I, through my listening tour, I understood where those weaknesses were and got rid of people, while at the same time announcing a set of initiatives and strategies that were going to drive the company forward. So I think those three things are really interesting. It's very interesting to watch, for example, Elon Musk with Twitter today, because I'm sure he feels that he has to change the culture of the company. I fortunately didn't have to do that. I had to adjust it. But changing the culture of anything is incredibly hard. And you got to be pretty dramatic in order to, if you believe that's needed, you got to be pretty dramatic to do it.